Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today, Carrie.
Yes, Bob.
We are at Thousand Trails Diamond Caverns here in beautiful Park City, Kentucky.
Yes.
Now, what you're asking me probably in the back of your head, well, if it's so beautiful, why aren't you outside? Well, my friends, very simply, it's 90 degrees outside with a real feel of 103.
Yeah.
And every time we try to film outside, well, everything dies and overheats. So we're going to give you a brief tour today of what we're describing as, well, this is the RV park resort that everybody just does the bare minimum here. Now, if you're like us, you book an RV resort and you're in the back of your head, you've got the Clark Griswold thing going. We're going to have a great family vacation. We're going to hit the road and things are just going to be great once we get to Wally World. And then you get there and it's closed, right? And well, that's pretty much what's happened here. We read the reviews online as we're heading our way north. This was a great stopover for a couple of weeks for just us to recharge our batteries. And we wanted to see all the area is beautiful. We wanted to see Mammoth Cave. This is part of Mammoth Cave National Park. And we thought, where else to do it? But at a place that advertises themselves as an RV and golf resort. My God, sign me up. Well, that's where our troubles started. We read the reviews online and everybody says make sure you start across the street because that's where the office is. Well, we got there and the office is open 9 to 5 and we got there at 11:30 and we were excited and there's nobody at the office. And in fact, it's closed tight. There is a sign on the door that says contact so-and-so and you call a cell phone number and somebody picks up and they say, oh, matter of factly, come on across the street. Because that's where we are. And we're like, okay. So we're like, well, another review that was wrong. We've dealt with this before. It's fine. So we come through, and as you're seeing here, this is kind of what we were greeted with. A little out of date. The sign says it was established in 1970, and 1970 it was established and probably hasn't been touched since.
Where it's ended.
We were greeted by a camp host. We're not quite sure. There's really no identifiers. No. Camp host meets us and says, look, I've only got 2 sites because nobody's checked out. They're supposed to check out at 11 and they haven't checked out. We're like, okay, we're easy. Just point us where you want us. And she did show us 2 sites. We took site number 2 because first one was covered by a whole bunch of people out there smoking cigarettes, and we don't feel about that. If you're new to the channel, we don't like cigarette smoke. At any rate, so we pull in, and we typically are always cheerful and nice, and we told her, you're the best, thank you, and she's gone. And that was pretty much my own interaction with her. She did say, we'll come back and we'll hand you, the placard that you hang from your rear view,
a map,
and a map and stuff. I'll come back later, and she did. To her point, a couple hours later, she showed up with those, and that's pretty much our interaction with the management or the camp host side of this. Now, the first 12 or 14 hours went pretty, uneventful. It's a rundown park, so we went exploring. When the power went out. The power went out here. We had a severe thunderstorm roll through with hail, the whole 9. Welcome to Kentucky. And, that's where we found it pretty interesting. We've had this happen before. We've run through this in the past where, the power gets knocked out. And normally you get a text. You get something from the park staff that says, hey, just so you know, there's a power outage. Restoration times unknown or to be determined, something along that lines. There was 0 communication through here. In fact, you're traveling, you don't know where to look, what to expect, how long is this going to be out. I do work full time, so I mean, you kind of have to know what to do and what to expect. So luckily for us, we found a local news station that gave us kind of the information that we needed. Power is stored in 24 hours. Roughly 4 hours after that, somebody comes whipping through the site on a golf cart and knocks on the door and takes off, says, your power has been restored, and that's it. And that was our interaction there. So, that's the kind of stuff. Now, I'm going to go through the rest of this. I'm going to try to go through this part by part. We were able to shoot some video through certain areas. Let's talk about the sites. So this is our site. As you can see when we walk through the door, well, you're greeted with somebody else's RV because you're door to door. So these are what's called all seem to be buddy sites for the most part, and which is great if you like your neighbor. Not so great if they don't like you, because boom, every time you open your door, boom, you're face to face with them. We're fortunate the neighbor across from us isn't really here. Like, they dumped their RV and took off. We've seen them maybe once. But it is kind of just a different approach to things. And it is kind of weird. You're out there cooking burgers and they're, having family time. And, it's okay if you like that. If you're like them and like us, you kind of just want to do your own thing, it can get a little awkward, if you know what I mean.
But nobody's intrusive. I mean, the ones that are outside really weren't intrusive.
No, but it is a little bit different,
Well,
It's just a different vibe.
It's like, what are you having for dinner?
Yeah.
Oh, what are you having?
And believe me, if that was the only thing, that's great, whatever. So part of the power being out, Carrie and I started wandering around the property, and first thing we went through after we leave our site is we walked down and let's check out the playground. Now, there is a sign that says over 150 pounds you can't use the playground, so that's basically I can't use the playground. And that's fine, but I was looking at it, as you can see here, the condition again is something that's been untouched for quite a while. In fact, as you see through the playground, there's trash on the ground, debris on the ground, some forks, some plastic knives, some styrofoam cups. They've been here the whole 2 weeks that we've been here. So it means that the ground crew isn't picking anything up. And it just seems to be a lack of maintenance, a lack of caring, and you'll see that more as this video progresses. Next we head over to what they call the quiet room, which looks to me like at one point was an old office, maybe a camp store, which this place could totally use. Definitely. Because there's nothing around here for miles. You could definitely use a small little camp store, but this is where it gets interesting. Now, as the sign says, this is their storm shelter, which when the power went out, they don't have a generator. So not sure what you're supposed to do in the storm shelter. As you can see from the windows, there's a lot of condensation, a lot of moisture in this room. This whole quiet room area smells really bad. It's mold, it's mildew, and I'm quite sure it's probably not great breathing air. They do have a computer room as I come over here, and as you can see, computer, well, that's misspelled. And that just seems to be the lack of attention to detail here. Something like that, a sign to me, that's a big deal, especially in my professional world. A sign like that says computer and is spelt wrong is probably an indicator that there's other things as well. I'll take you through, as you can see the carpet here on the floor. I'll take you through to the bathroom. The bathroom here, I wouldn't touch this ever. This is the only time I've ever said this. And we've been to some state parks with pit toilets that, oh my God, but I gladly use those any day. This was pretty rough. This is a bathroom that is accessible from the outside as well as the inside. And as you can see, like, there's paint that's peeled off, that's been gone for probably decades. And you know how you can have an old bathroom and it can be clean and it's just old and you're okay with that? This is old, this is dirty, and this is just not something I would feel comfortable taking a shower in. Never mind you or anybody for that matter, I guess. And maybe you're okay with it. I personally don't like germs, so this is pretty gross. So once you get past all that, you come out to the outside of the building, and you can see they have, again, more neglect, the rot on the bottom of the building. You come back through as we head to the game room, and you see off to the left the staircase that's employees only, but you can't go up there because, well, the stairs have all rotted and fallen down, which is fine because we don't need to go over there anyway. No. But as we go over to the game room, we notice the same scenario here. This game room smells musty, moldy. It's dank. It's gross. I'm losing my voice just thinking about the mold that's in there. But they do have a pool table, so I was almost willing to let that go. I grabbed a pool cue. I challenged my wife to it, and bammo! All the pool cues are broken. None of them have a tip, so you can't play because you'll damage the table. And the foosball, I didn't check to see if they actually had the foosball. Oh, no. But yeah, there's that. There's some toys for the kids, but again, as parents ourselves, I would never let our kids play in here because the smell, you know there's mold present. So we make our way out of the game room and we come into, well, the pavilion. It's a metal building, seems relatively new or newer, probably within the last 15 to 20 years. You come in, there's a dance floor, and you're like, ooh, I'm going to get my boogie on. And then that smell hits you. And this is probably the worst out of all three buildings. This smell will knock you over bad smell. And they have church service in there. And it's like, whoa. But it smells, as you can see, every window in this place they're bad windows, no seals. So like there's just that heavy moisture that build up, that condensation. And nothing's been repaired. Nothing's been maintained. It's just horrible. A reoccurring theme throughout all these buildings is that they have a checklist of when they're supposed to have been checked, and then all of them haven't been checked for 2, 3, 4 days. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Now, if you bill yourself as an RV resort and golf course, this is pretty interesting. Where's the golf course? That's part one. Well, they don't tell you, and this is really start of the missed opportunities here. The golf course is actually down the road, probably about a half mile, 3/4 of a mile, and it's down a side road, which there's no signs out front that says golf course. It's just a little tiny golf ball on top of the street sign. I guess that's your clue, because you've been here before. You go down, there's looks like some rundown apartment buildings, and you get down into an opening and there's a golf course. And it looks
nice.
I'm not a golfer, but this looked like a nice golf course. I'd probably try to play golf there if I knew what I was doing. Something like, let's just go play a round or two. And but they never mention it. And I'm sitting here thinking, boy, if you're looking at Thousand Trails as a missed opportunity because corporate doesn't give you enough money to take care of the neglect here, it's probably because you're not doing your job, letting people know that you have a golf course that's in great condition. And hey, couples our age group, full-timers might want to take advantage of that, and maybe offer a special or something that says, hey, you can play over here for free. You can pay $5, you can pay $20, something that would generate revenue that you could put back into the park. And that's where I think the breakdown is here, is that I don't think anybody cares. I think they're complacent with what they have, and they go through the paces because they have to. Now, when we talk about going through the paces, I'm quite sure Thousand Trails says you must have activities for the guests on a routine basis. And they do. They have sidewalk chalk, and they have bingo.
They had a slip and slide.
And they had a slip and slide for the 4th of July. It was unmanned, but it was a slip and slide nonetheless. And they do have church service, which we were notified of by literature left on our door, which again, we clearly do not have an issue with church services. However, if that is not something that's in your wheelhouse or something that you want to be part of, you probably don't want to be forcing that on people, but that's neither here nor there. So now we get past the golf course, and let's go shoot some mini golf, because Carrie, they have mini golf. Okay. So first thing is we walk in this building. This building smells just as bad as the pavilion. And you can almost overlook that because, well, it's just a little outbuilding that you get, your golf ball and your putter, and you go on. And then you get to the condition of these holes. My God, I don't think this is... Now, clearly you can look at some of the stuff here, and you can see that at one time things had been repainted.
Yeah.
And that was probably in 1994. It hasn't been repainted since. And every one of these greens, the putting greens or whatever, are in dire need of repair. Now, again, I'll play devil's advocate here and say Thousand Trails maybe isn't giving them the money. Doesn't cost anything to pull the weeds out of the holes, or to, maybe just staple down some of the green so that you're not tripping over it. Do something. As we like to famously say, get involved, do something, pull the weeds out. There's a lot of the holes that have just weeds growing up through the cup. It's very easy to, if you don't have the funds, because again, and I find that hard to believe, but maybe they don't have the funds. If you're a maintenance crew, a maintenance staff, you can pull some weeds. Doesn't cost anything to bend over, pick them up, and go. And that was that. And it's a shame because you see these kids get very excited because from the road you can't tell how bad it is. And then they get down there and just like, this is jank. Who wants to play here? I want to go play my PlayStation. And I can just picture as a father bringing our kids somewhere, and if I had presented my kids with that, I probably would have been kicked in the throat. That's just the way it goes. But, you know, as we go through and we walk around a little more, we see, you know, the grounds themselves aren't bad. It's a beautiful place.
Yeah.
And at one time, you could tell this was a destination and people wanted to come here. They have a pool. It's a big size pool. But the people taking care of the pool are the same people that are taking care of the grounds. And if you're not putting the care into the buildings that smell like mold and rot and mildew, I probably am not going to trust the guy that's going out there every morning just doing a quick skim and throwing some chlorine tablets into the pool, because everywhere else I've been has had a pool company. And this is Thousand Trail Parks, Encore Parks. They've all had a pool company come in. This is the first time I've seen where just a grounds crew comes in, skims it, and goes. And I just couldn't bring myself to go in the pool. And it's a shame because it's hot as hell here. And I almost said something else.
Hot as golf balls.
The golf balls. And so that brings us down. You know, we walk through, and a couple other points I want to point out before I get to the laundry room.
Yeah.
So a couple other things. So when the power went out here, there's a lot of annuals. And we noticed right away, you could always tell who the annuals were here versus the transient or full-time travelers like ourselves, because all the residents here run construction generators, which are allowed, and this place resonates with about 15 to 20 of these high-powered generators just blaring the whole time. Everybody that was like us had inverter generators because most places that's what they require. And in fact, I know quite a few places that you pull out an open frame generator, you get tossed. But at any rate, that was part of that. And just the conditions of the RVs that belong to some of the staff members here, they haven't been touched in probably about 15 years. Duct tape holding things together. It doesn't give for a pleasant vibe when you're walking around, especially when you're trying to be, you know, family. Now keep in mind, if you're not a Thousand Trails member and you're just passing through, this is like $70 a night to be here. That's a lot for, you know, what you're looking at here and things you can't use and the smells and whatever. So that all being said, we'll head down to the laundry room. In the laundry room, and I apologize ahead of time because some of the audio is a little off here, but the laundry room has 4 wash machines, 2 of which were broken consistently while we were here. They have 4 dryers. One of them is broken as well, and it seems to be a reoccurring thing because they have more signs to put up for the saying that things are out of order than they do machines. So if you have 12 signs and you only have 8 machines, you're prepared because you know it's going to be out of order. So little things like that, again, attention to detail. And again, this is one of those parks where every time that we go somewhere, we read all the bad reviews, and sometimes y'all are just a little too harsh, right? And a perfect example was Hidden Cove. The reviews were horrible. We enjoyed our time at Hidden Cove, and it was beautiful. This one here, wow. I wanted to be positive, and I just can't. Everything from the office not being open, and just to touch on that again, the office hours are 9 to 5 daily. Every day that Carrie and I go for our walk, we walk by the office, and at 4:30, these people are closed. They're not there at 4:35. You're lucky if they're there even at 10 past, 20 past, half past 9. So there's definitely a lot of stuff where it's got to be, maybe it's a management issue, I don't know. And I'm afraid to say too much because at some point, traveling through Kentucky again, I'm going to end up stopping here, and I'm probably going to be thrown out for this review. In fact, this is probably one of the only really negative reviews we've had in the 3 years that we've been doing YouTube. And I think it's because it's a head scratcher. It really is. You're in a beautiful area. You are literally 25 minutes away from Bowling Green. You're 7 miles from Mammoth Cave. This area is gorgeous. And then you have this that has so much potential and just needs, I don't know, fresh blood, new management team, a new grounds crew, new eyes to take in and say, hey, these things need to change. But I can tell you that the signs up there that says ask us about how you can camp unlimited with 1,000 trails probably aren't getting any attention, because if I was off the street and I wouldn't buy 1,000 trails based on this, Not after what I've seen being in Florida, where it's just absolutely great, and everywhere else that we're heading to. Yeah, I think our next stop is Indian Lakes, and we're very excited to be going there.
Yeah.
So at any rate, if you're looking for a place just to come through and just stay the night, because a lot of people here, which is another point, a lot of people here had longer reservations, stayed one night and bailed. So I know it's not just us. We roughed it out for the first 2 weeks. It is a great stopover, especially if you're a Thousand Trails member. I would never advocate or recommend paying $70 a night because this place just isn't worth it. Not until they redo things and show me that you care. Show me that you take this place seriously. Yeah, if you're a camp host or somebody that is looking for a job, you might want to reach out to Thousand Trails and say, "Hey, I hear you can use some fresh blood because Kentucky is in dire need of some help." That's it. Probably one of the only, hopefully, fingers crossed, knock on wood, knock on a freshly shaven dome, that this will be the only bad review that we give. So this brings us to a new segment because people were saying, "Hey, how about a rating system?" And so Carrie and I have thought long and hard, and we've come up with a campfire rating.
Yep.
So based on 5 campfires, 5 being the most campfires, the bestest ever place on Earth. Carrie, where do you rate this between 0 and 5 campfires?
2.
I have to agree. This place has all the potential to be a 5-star resort area. Just really nice, but the lack of care, the lack of pride and ownership, I'm going to give this a very soft 2 campfires. That's it. Anything you would like to add?
No, I'm disappointed, I think, a little bit. It's nice, but it's not.
It's hard to overlook it.
Yeah.
So if you like this kind of video, give us a thumbs up below. Also consider subscribing to the channel. It does help us to share it as well.
Yeah. If you've been here, what did you think? Do you
absolutely
think the same as us, or like we out of our minds?
If we're too harsh, let us know. We'd like to hear.
Yeah.
That's it. We'll wrap it up here from a very warm RV in the middle of Kentucky.
Yes.
I am Bob.
I'm Carrie.
And this has been Life Redesigned, Diamond Caverns, Park City, Kentucky. Till next time.